Hello, hello. You're watching Trending with the Tennessee Tribune. I'm Ashley Northington, the agency director and founder at DENOR Brands and Public Relations. I'm here on behalf of the Tennessee Tribune with Ms. Angie Blackshear Dalton, who is running for Criminal Court Division 2. We're here to learn more about the candidates running for office so that you can be informed about the issues that matter to you most. So let's jump right in. Ms. Blackshear, please introduce yourselves to the viewers and let them know why you're running for this specific seat.
Absolutely. My name is Judge Angie Blackshear Dalton, and I am the judge in Division 2 of the Davidson County Criminal Court. I was appointed to that position this past fall after Judge Randall Wyatt retired. Prior to that, I served as a judge in the General Sessions Court for a little over 11 years.
Okay, wonderful. So, what do you think, so you've been in there for a little while now in this specific role, what do you think the biggest issue facing the court is, and how do you plan to address it?
I think one of the biggest issues facing the courts is just ensuring that people who come before the courts are treated fairly and with respect. Each individual who comes before the court, should have an opportunity to have their cases heard and to be treated with fairness, to know that when they come into that courtroom, that they're going to be respected and that they're just going to have their day in court.
Wonderful. So how do you plan to do just that? So what methods do you plan to use to ensure that fairness and equity?
I think that everything starts from the top. As the judge, people need to know that when they come before me, there will be no prejudging of them. I'm going to look at their case on its own individual merits. I'm going to listen to the facts. I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to be heard. I'm going to take my time as I listen to the facts and listen to the cases. I'm going to take my time in rendering a judgment to make sure that I am applying the law as it is intended to be applied, and making sure that it's being applied fairly.
Wonderful. Love that. So what steps have you taken or what roles or things that you've participated in that you feel like have prepared you to continue to serve in this particular judgeship?
Well, as I stated earlier, I served as a judge in General Sessions Court for 11 years. Prior to that, I was an assistant DA for 8 years, trying countless numbers of cases in our court system. During that time, as an assistant DA, I came into contact with a lot of different people from various walks of life. And that interaction with people helped me to understand how significant our court system is to people, and not just those who come directly in front of the court, the defendants who are accused of crimes, the victims of crimes, but the decisions that we make in our courts on a day-to-day basis have an overlapping impact on the community as a whole. So during the time of working in the DA's office and enhancing and developing the practical skills, and that interaction with people, it inspired me in 2006 to run for judge, and I was successful in that election in 2006 and again in 2014 when I was re-elected in the General Sessions Court. And that experience over the 11 years that I was in General Sessions Court, really, it helped me to enhance that skill that I developed over the years. And it also gave me a greater appreciation because I was able to see things from a different perspective. I was no longer on that one side as a prosecutor. I was now that neutral and detached trier of fact, making sure that people who came before the court were treated fairly. It was that enhancement of that skill that helped me to develop a temperament that is necessary and expected of judges in making sure that justice is administered fairly.
Wonderful. So what made you decide or made you interested in switching from the General Sessions, which tries a variety of cases, to now criminal court?
Well, I knew that I had developed these skills that I spoke about, and I have this passion about our justice system that is so important. And I knew that I could do so much more on a greater capacity. Of course, our criminal court is different than General Sessions, but it is the next step up. Additionally, we have greater sentencing authority in the criminal court. So I knew that there was so much more that I could give and serve our community in a greater capacity. And so that was what I wanted to do.
Wonderful. So what are your views on restorative justice? We've talked a lot with other people about that. That's like a buzzword right now.
It is.
So what are your thoughts on that, and how would you apply that in the criminal court?
I think it is so important, for people who come before the court to know that once they have completed their sentence, once they've paid their debt, that they are going to be reentered into society, knowing that they can start with that clean slate. And I think that we need to do so in a manner that's not prohibitive and that does not create greater barriers for them. Along the same side, on the flip side of that, I think that there needs to be restoration for victims of crime as well, because they too need to be restored. So it's a global impact. It's a global effect that we have to have, and a global role that we play in making sure that we're restoring everybody, not just the defendants, because it's important that those who come before our courts and they've done what they were supposed to do, that we say, you know what, we want you to start with a clean slate and try to address many of the issues that brought them before the court to begin with. Unfortunately, I think that historically, we've not really touched on the issues that have brought people before the court, and so how can we restore them if we're not addressing those issues, whether it's substance abuse, mental health, lack of resources, many of those things. And so, I think that there's a whole lot that can be said on the issue of restorative justice, and I think that it is important that we take those measures to try to restore people and make them whole, because, I say all the time that the people who come before me could be my brother, my sister, my son, my parent. It could be me. And so I want to make sure that I'm treating people the way that I would want to be treated.
Wonderful. Following the golden rule.
Absolutely.
So you said something that just sparked my interest. I've talked a lot about restorative justice before, but you're the first person out here to talk about restoring victims. How do you, as a judge, restore the victims too?
It's hard. It's not easy because the victims really feel a loss. And I will say this: when I was in the DA's office, I spent 5 years on the domestic violence prosecution team, where I interacted with victims in the most vulnerable times of their lives. I've prosecuted homicide, murder cases where I'm dealing with families who obviously have experienced the ultimate loss of a family member. And I don't know that you can really restore that situation. You cannot replace a family member. With the domestic violence victims, it's hard to bring that structure back. But I think that we try to do things so that they understand, as victims, that the justice system is here to bring justice for everybody. Make sure that while we probably can't restore you to the loss that you experienced, but we want to seek justice and make sure that you understand that at the end of the day, we want the right thing to happen.
Wonderful. I like that concept. I really do. So tell me, I'm going to ask you the hardest question of all now. And that is, why should the voters elect you?
Experience. As I mentioned, as a former prosecutor who has tried countless numbers of cases in our courts and have interacted with so many different people from various walks of life, on to my service on the bench as a General Sessions Court judge, where I have presided over thousands of cases. I have developed the passion and temperament that is necessary, and I want to utilize that passion and the skills that I've developed over the years to further and continue to serve our community.
Wonderful. So how can the voters find out more information about you and your campaign?
Absolutely. They can visit my website at www.keepjudgedalton.com, and they can follow me on Facebook, Judge Angie Blackshear Dalton, and they can also, and on the website you can also link to the Twitter and Instagram.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Judge Dalton, for being here today.
Absolutely.
That's all we have, and thank you all for watching Trending with the Tennessee Tribune.